Come on, Barbie, let's go party.
We're gonna get
Morning, Captain.
copyright striked on YouTube. It's too close to the real thing.
My perm. Yeah, I know.
This makes me sad. I can't use any of these sounds because you can't hear them.
Just have to do them live.
There's like an interesting trickling noise happening on your side.
Oh, yeah, it's just me urinating under the desk. No, that's the heater
Oh, it's an oil heater.
warming up. It's an oil heater. Let me turn that off.
No, I'll leave it on. It's fine. I love the pee noise.
It's reassuring, isn't it? Did you see what just happened there? We just started and we had audio right away.
Yes, we tested
Bizarre.
on each side before we started.
First time that's happened in weeks.
Well, I intentionally didn't use my black hole, which made me
Likewise.
sad. Made me sad.
Yeah.
I told you that the
Likewise.
developer of that just blamed it on Audio Hijack. Said, "Oh, it works fine for Sonoma." It's like, does it? I don't know.
Does it?
Don't know.
Doesn't seem to be.
Something changed.
Mm.
Well, good morning.
Good
It's
morning.
both of our mornings.
Good afternoon. Oh,
That's weird.
we're both morning people for once. Most unusual.
Easily the most confusing thing about this relationship we have is how it changes so drastically. Like, it's worked fine for me, but my time that I meet you changes from 11:30 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon somehow, based on our time changes. It's wild. So sometimes it's morning, sometimes it's afternoon.
Somehow you've rigged it so it doesn't change for me, though.
I
assume
never
that's
never
intentional.
did it intentionally. I think it's because however we set the calendar thing, it's set to be your 6 a.m. or whatever. Now it's 6:30 a.m. I don't know.
6:30
know.
now, yeah. Whee!
It's kind of
Wow. I'm very excited about this new automation that you've set up.
I know there's a lot of them.
I can say, hey, insert voice assistant here. Text the podcast. And I can text all my random ideas at any time of the day or night, and they just appear in our show notes. How good is that?
The thing I thought about for quite a while. I was like, is this possible? And then something like that just kind of hits you suddenly. You're like, oh. It primarily meant that I had to reorder how our show notes sit, our internal notes, so that the titles aren't at the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
So I just changed that order so the titles are at the top, and now it just takes Zapier takes all of the internal notes and adds it to the bottom of the existing ones every time that we text a certain thing.
So
I had to
good.
do some magic with magic. It's just 2 paths for each of our text source.
Okay.
So yours is easier than mine, surprisingly.
That's weird. And we're texting an email address. Does that mean it's kind of like an iMessage functionality? I'm
No,
not
it's
familiar
actually-
with texting an email address unless it's
You could
iMessage.
technically email it as well, but like I was saying the other day, that the way that those paths work inside Zapier, for each of us to push out the right body of basically an email, they had to be filtered differently. So it's looking for our phone numbers. So you'd have to spoof our phone
Cool.
numbers. It's kind of like a built-in security feature. So if you got a hold of this email address, you couldn't inject our show notes.
It's kind of tempting to pass it out
Yeah.
just to see what appears.
Oh, what's in here? That'd be crazy. Can you just we just
Where do we go this
have a
week?
separate part of the show notes, and it's just people that send in thoughts. That's kind of interesting, actually. I love that idea.
That could be cool. I like it.
I don't think
Question
I don't think
time.
my Zapier has enough tasks in it to I'd have to upgrade.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's pretty.
No, I
It
love
works
it.
better than I would have thought. Did you notice that I put in little markers for each of us? Look at the end of each line,
Mm.
and they're based.
Little symbols.
Yeah, I started. I did it for each so I could see. I was just curious, how many of each of these came from the little Zap thing versus you and I coming in to type into these fields.
Catch up.
Just
Yeah. I was
a
wondering what that was.
canary, basically.
Cool.
We can delete them, but thought it was interesting.
I'll just delete all the ones where it's just Jem loves ponies. I love ponies. Oh, this is cool.
It literally goes, I've made Zapier SMS magic. Jim loves ponies. I love ponies. Shit, this is cool. How much after work do you do? I love Cody. Just like,
That was a legit one.
but yeah, it's fun.
I think, and so that's fun. So we've got a few things to chat about. And something I'm really keen to touch on this week is I want to be schooled in what the hell you use CSV files for, because you got all excited during the week about this CSV app thing that you'd found, and it just went completely over my head.
Right.
The CSVs for me are just this like junky format that I occasionally have to deal with, and I don't
You see it
use them, don't see the value.
You see it as junky.
Educate me.
Because what it strips formatting.
No, because I imagine that none of the apps I have deal with them natively.
Right? You just answered
so
the
they
question.
Come in.
That's why.
Sure, I answered why they're annoying, but I don't know what you'd use them for.
What did I even? What's that? Is it just called? Oh yeah, Easy CSV Editor. So I guess let's see. What are my reasons? I mean, I'd say recently there's been the need to do this kind of thing with. I mean, go back to when I lived in Nebraska. I'd have to do sales tax calculations, and so I would export like Etsy transactions and Shopify transactions and Amazon ones, and then I'd have to turn all those files into something where I could edit them. And so in one situation, I was combining CSV files. I made a script for that forever ago. And when you have a Mac, I personally have made it a goal to never buy Microsoft suite of products because I find it to be fairly shitty on a Mac. I just don't want to use it. I think Excel and whatever Word are fine on a Windows computer, but I have no interest in using that on a Mac.
Yep.
So you get Pages and Numbers, which are decent software, but all of these things have their own file formats, right? They're annoying as hell. CSV is kind of like the DXF, right? Like it just goes between all these things, and it's just text.
It's more universal. Okay.
So you can also do so it's comma separated values. So it's just a list of text separated by commas. And so it's a generic format. I don't fully know all the things about it, but I use it for importing products into Shopify or our tool libraries for the CNC tools we use, our CSV files. So it's I've always kind of needed to edit them or do minor things with CSV files, and there's no native way to do that on a Mac or Windows as far as I know. You have to use Excel. So I just happened upon this app called Easy CSV Editor. It was $13, paid one time, and it's a native way to just open and edit a CSV file, and when you push save, it just saves the same file again, which is the stupidest thing, but it's just simple. So it made me excited.
Because if you're in Excel, you'd be having to save as CSV
I think so.
every time or whatever you wanted data out.
Owned it, but that's my take, is that try to convert into its thing.
So can you do formulas, calculations, as you would in a normal spreadsheet?
I have no idea. I think so. Equals...
He doesn't know.
So I opened it, saved it. I deleted some columns, saved it, and then I sent it to you because I was excited. So that was what I was I don't want to open this in Pages. This is always just kind of messy. C3. Maybe not. I mean, the downside of CSV files are they don't take formatting. They don't save formatting as far as I understand. And then maybe some of all the kind of intelligence of sheets and pages and that kind of stuff gets lost too. I think often it'll save what's the data inside it, but it's not going to have unique features, which is fine. It's not really what I'm looking for. It's a fast way to transfer data between things and export and import. And then in between, sometimes I'm I want to just change a few things, and that's not simple always. So I think we lost your audio.
Oh, I just pressed mute.
You sound good today,
sucking
by the
on my
way.
coffee and forgot to turn it on. Well, I'm not in the horse float, so
Yeah. I did notice that, but I didn't like think about it for the audio sense.
I'm not in a metal tin can by a roadway.
It's all that threadboard that's doing it. It's the nice
Mm.
thread
Oh.
audio padding.
So about 2.5 years later, I think I'm about to put Threadboard on the
I
website.
saw that. It's never been for sale?
No.
Oh. I didn't realize that.
I've sold it through like the custom orders desk, so to speak,
Black market sales.
under the counter.
Under the desk sales.
But no, it's never been a product on the website. And I reckon when we started this podcast, which must be coming up on, how old are we now?
No idea.
2 years ago.
Yeah,
Ish.
about 2
More
years
than.
ago.
I was talking about it then, about launching it, and I still haven't done it. So I'd have a request that you hold me to account that by next recording there's purchasable Threadboard
Ooh.
product on the website.
Threadboard for Christmas?
Need my product launch accountability buddy back. Yeah, Threadboard for Christmas. Everyone wants some Threadboard for Christmas. All right.
I do.
I am doing through the custom orders desk still. I am doing some Threadboard for a house. Quite a lot of it, actually. They want like 60 square meters of Threadboard
Oh.
to sort of kind of put in various spots throughout the house for their cats, so that they can just put like accessories and shelves in and have like a cat runway through over the walls,
Oh.
like little spots for the cats to sit
Ooh.
and jump from one shelf to the next and stuff.
Cat
Cool.
parkour.
Parkour.
I was parkouring my son around the kitchen last night, and it was
That
I'd
sounds
never
so
done
wrong.
that before. It was like running him and just
I was just bouncing him off the
making
wall.
him run off the wall.
Oh, right,
and
I see.
He loved it.
Yeah, awesome.
No, it's a great. I'm glad. I have a weird bit of like guilt that somehow I was a part of you not launching Threadboard and didn't know it now. Not that that's the reality, but
Why
I'm
were
just
you?
like, oh my god, I didn't
No.
realize that wasn't out there. I should have been. I should have been saying something. Huh. Interesting.
There you go.
That's fun. I mean, what's left? It's literally like photographing,
Sure.
marketing, Shopify building, packaging.
Well, I think Shopify building, packaging. Who works that out? No, we'll get the sale first, and then we'll work out packaging.
Throw it in a box.
Well, I made some progress. I'd never priced it properly. That was one of the holdups. Is that I'd priced a full sheet and I'd priced a half sheet, various custom jobs, but I'd never sort of gone through and decided what the sort of retail panel sizes were going to be.
Right.
And I was quoting a custom job yesterday for some Threadboard for a local laundromat here in town.
Yeah.
And I just took, probably an hour longer than normal to do the quote. And I just made all the blocks in Rhino. Like, I got my parametric fusion model. I quickly created all my sizes, saved them out as step files, dropped them into Rhino, turned them into blocks, assigned like the SKUs to the block name.
Yeah.
And then in VS Code, I go into my pricing script and just add those SKUs into my pricing script. So now I can select, I can create an assembly for someone out of Threadboard and the dowels and the accessories and shelves and things. And then select, what I've made, hit a keyboard shortcut, and it gives me a price list, generates that price.
Dude, you know what you could do is if you also you got the, what are they called? Variant IDs for all your SKUs into your script.
In
You
Shopify.
could dump that into a Shopify cart probably pretty easily. You can do it via
I've been looking
you can do it via
into
URL
this, yeah.
actually. It's like a bunch of colons and
Really?
commas, like quantities. It's really simple.
This is the add to cart sort of API for Shopify.
I don't even know if it's. I mean, the way I've done it in the past, it's not even API. It's like like cart/add/variant ID :1, and then you just keep doing that for every object. That was a while ago, so maybe that doesn't work as much anymore. But there's definitely a way to do it, like fairly simply.
Yeah. I swear we need a spin-off show which just Justin reads code.
No.
And tonight, Justin's reading some Python for
Well,
you.
it would have to be in the honey voice. Nobody's coming for this. This mouth maker.
So yeah, that was part of my hold up, was the pricing of it. So I've done that now. I've got my sizes. Yeah, I'm just going to get something into Shopify. And I'm not going to like machine and photograph every panel size. I think I'm just going to have some example photos of, what it is, how it works, and then options for sizes.
When you get this done, I'm going to be excited because like we've been talking about Knackwall again. I think this is going to give me a lot of good ideas.
Have you? I've been curious. I've noticed Knack sort of appearing on the socials again. Are you thinking about spinning it up?
What?
Hey.
Oh, nice. I like I saw your image there. We've talked about it more and more coming as a product for the CNC, like calling it Knackwall still just because it was a good name for it, and then making solutions that are more CNC shop centric for like setup next to your machine, or like
see it. Yeah.
And I mean Saunders just talked about this. They were talking about U-shaped cells on the bomb recently, and it hit me. I think I was literally flying back from my last vacation, and I was like, oh, we could throw Knackwall on, in this circumstance, and like it would be a great cell side. The key to all of it, as I think you're way more ahead in terms of developing little objects for Threadwall, is that it's all about what goes on the wall and how well that works. Like the backer part is just the Lego board. It's very basic, and there's a lot to maybe figure out on at first, but like it's all about the solutions that go on it. So,
yeah, totally. It's about, what goes on it. And also like a hurdle that I've found trying to sell Threadboard to people is they're overwhelmed, and I am overwhelmed as to what accessories to specify for like this big panel.
Right.
Because I don't know exactly how they're going to use it, and they don't really know either. So typically I'll say, hey, I'll just give you like 30, 40 bits, pegs and shelves, and you'll just have a play.
Yep.
And then, if you come up short, then we'll sell you some more. But like just start with the random kit.
Yeah.
Not random, but like a starter kit of accessories, and just see how you go, see what's missing. Rather than trying to determine, because like in Rhino, now that I've got these blocks, and I was quoting this job yesterday, and I was like, oh, now I have to like drag and drop shelves and pegs in specific places that make sense. And it's just really like, it's time consuming, and it's also just a bit overwhelming. Like, oh, I don't know.
Yes.
Where to put them? Sure.
No,
there
absolutely.
You go. That's enough.
Yeah. We spent weeks and weeks in different cycles of trying to develop kits for what we were trying to do the first time, and just trying to like hit certain price points, and like, oh, a person in this circumstance would want this kind of thing, and like when we were dealing with plywood boxes, bent steel boxes, and like all these different things, and it was just like I came to this point of like, it makes more sense to provide kits to people than to have them try to mentally design their own thing on an internet website without a configurator that doesn't exist for me. And yet that was really overwhelming. And we were in the middle of trying to make decisions on that when the Dust Boot basically started to sell. Like got it ready. And
yeah, that's right.
people were like, "I'll buy that now," and I was like, "Ooh, we could use money." Put it on my Squarespace website and sold 10 in a day, and I was like, "Oh, this is perplexing. Like, what am I going to do now?" Because we just spent a year basically thinking about this whole product system, aside from a few other things, and so everybody knows that story. But
It's a good
in
story.
terms of configurators, how are you planning to sell? So you have the panel, and then you have what? Are you doing kits? Or are you doing
Pegs, shelves. Yeah, I'll do individual, but I'll put some kits together as well, I think. Like starter kit, small, medium, large accessories, I think. See how that goes. Because I can do better pricing on that. And yeah. Now that I can make configurators with, my GeoCities HTML technology, maybe there's a configurator coming for Threadboard too, eh?
Right.
Drag and drop.
Well, that's an interesting concept where like you create, instead of creating the specific configurator for the product, you basically make your own VividWorks and then define the objects that go into it through some little generator as well. And then it saves them. You're kind of doing that anyway, but
kind of doing it. And I was looking into that Shopify add to cart code last week too, because I realized I've got it. It can export a parts list now. It spits out a very cute little .txt file. And I was looking at like, cool, if I've got the SKUs in there, I can do that like Shopify. There's an open Shopify add to cart API, I think, that doesn't need any authentication or sign in. It should just go whoop, and just like add to cart if the SKUs match. So it's coming.
It's cool. So you're thinking that's viable to replace?
It's feeling more and more viable every time I work on it. Yeah.
It's cool that you're making like progress on it instead of, I feel like we're the state. It's like a really interesting marker of, like you're saying, like you have Cody on here. Excuse me. The state of AI being actually helpful rather than just like where it was when we first started trying the configurator, where I was like, here's an idea of a thing, but I can't really make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, Cody's been good. It's not perfect. It definitely still stuffs things up. And I have to go crawling back to my, I'm using 2 AI models concurrently, and that's quite effective. I think I mentioned last week I'm using the Vision screenshot model as the one that's looking at what I'm working on, helping me reverse engineer problems, and then feeding prompts back into Cody and VS Code, and that's working quite well. But Cody's still making some compiling errors. But what I'm really enjoying is that I'm starting to be able to see them myself and go, oh, why did you put that function
you're
there?
Coding.
You put that function in the wrong spot. Here, I'll just copy and paste that manually myself into the right spot. Oh, look at that. It works now.
Right.
Great. So that's been super satisfying to actually feel like I'm learning something in the process.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah. But I think, it's fantastic just having that contextual code editing where it's only messing with the bit that you want it to mess with. It's been
I
really
should
nice.
do that probably. I have another project I'm trying to learn how to code some stuff, and it's on my mind.
Good times. And something. You talking about the bomb johns before reminds me. And I would understand if you just hang up now and cancel the podcast. But after, I don't know, how long have I been listening? 10 years? I've kind of stopped. I've dropped off a little bit. I haven't kept up.
You got confused which John is which?
Listened to. Yeah, I forgot, and I've stopped listening. I'm probably about 2 months behind.
I get that.
And for the first time ever, maybe I'll get back in there. But the last few times I've gone to pick it up, I've hesitated for some reason. I don't know why.
There's been a lot of podcasts that I've dropped off lately. I don't know what. I think it's having a kid has really changed my time normalcy. But sometimes you're just not like, I don't know, depending on whatever, it's like you're just not wanting to listen to a certain type of thing, right? Like I've, based on current events around here, I've removed some widgets off of my home screen of my phone because I don't want to hear about what's being planned, you know, like, it's just, things change.
Yeah, I know we didn't touch on that last week, and after we got off the recording, I felt like a real lack of having not acknowledged that, but it's like, because coming onto the call last week, I know we were both thinking about it. Like, I just felt honestly quite sad, and didn't really know what else to say.
Same.
But just wanted to acknowledge the fact that we didn't touch on that. But,
I know I thought about it before and after, and while we're beating around the election bush, there was a giant election in America. If you're out of time with listening to this, and I just
time traveling,
I didn't hope for the outcome. Me and a lot of the people I know in my world voted for, not for ourselves personally, but for other people and their rights. And that's not how it turned out, and it's really disheartening. And I don't know, I just also thought nobody's coming here to listen to politics necessarily.
No,
but it definitely, if we're talking about our lives, and it was very heavy, especially if you know somebody with a uterus. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Not fun. Burying myself in work, basically, I think, is my normal answer to these things, unfortunately.
Yeah, which leads pretty neatly into a question I had for you, because it's one that I texted the podcast late one night, having just done what has become a bit of a routine of like a 2 to 3 hour shift on the couch of an evening,
right?
Where I'm working. Like it's a slightly different work mode, but I'm definitely clocking work hours. How much of that after hours stuff are you doing?
It goes in spurts. I've had this side project that I've been working on quite a bit in my after hours, which we've chatted a little bit about. And in some of it's learning new things. So I'm like learning about different aspects of coding and doing some design work. Actually, lately, what I've been working on, we're trying to spin up. I've had this thought forever to try to do. I don't know. It sounds silly to even say it out loud, but I feel like there's a chance that we might sell some, and we haven't spent enough time. But it's like the idea of gifts for like people that are in our world. So it's like not consumerizing necessarily, but like it's using kind of our same products, but like turning them into gifts, so that if I was Jem's spouse and Jem said, what do I want for Christmas? He'd say, I want that set of CNC tools, basically.
I see what you mean. Yeah, right.
So I'm trying to like make that, I don't know, not make it be a thing necessarily, but like it spurred another set of products that we're thinking might turn into something like that as well, like probably in a future year. But so I've been working on, not that this is like secret, but like a gift box basically that
cute. Limited.
It's not finished by any means, but just something that's a little bit more presentational than it comes in a cardboard box and that doesn't present as a gift, So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because we go pretty dead through most of the holidays for sales for products because people are off with their families, which makes sense. So it's like, anyway, that's been it's one of my side projects.
Yeah. So you're doing like, in terms of that after hours factor, like you're like I have a sense that you stay up pretty late and you're tinkering on work-related stuff. Like the other night, it was nighttime for me and you were working on automations for the show notes, which means it was
like 10 or
bloody late
11,
for
I
you.
think, when I was doing that. Wait.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
9. Well, this is our time change thing. Like our times, sometimes.
Oh, we're closer in time, aren't we? Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh, Jim's up way late, and like our times have shifted a lot, I think. But yeah, my son had gone to bed. I think both of my family members had gone to bed, and I just had this thought. It was like, I could do this with Zapier right now, and it's like once it walks in, I'm like, I gotta get it done.
Nice.
It probably used to be way worse. I feel like as I've gotten older, I think having a kid has obviously changed things, but also it's just like the aging process seems to be really taking a toll on me. I used to be able to like work till 2 a.m. easily on anything that interests me. Like I would just keep going and not get tired. And now I'm like I think that night I actually fell asleep on the couch. Just like not in the middle of working, but I was like looking at something on my phone, and I was like, "Oh, now I'm sleeping on the couch right now. I should go to bed. This is stupid." But that never used to happen. You do this sometimes? I feel like maybe your littlest one is not keeping you up as much lately.
Yeah, sleep's been intermittent, but it's actually the middle one that's keeping us up at the moment. But yeah, like I go to bed too late for my preference.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to bed at sort of around 11, whereas I should be going to bed like at least now before that. But like I've just been doing a lot of couch work lately, and enjoying it. Like whether it's like fiddling with code for this configurator or updating stuff in Shopify or noodling around. Yeah, it's kind of stuff that I don't find time for during the day or don't find the focus for during the day, because when I'm at work, there's like production stuff to do or quotes to get out the door during business hours.
People to talk to, yeah. Yeah, no, same.
I have been aware, though, that like because our clientele are very domestic based, they're people like me, often with small kids at home, they've got the same window.
Right.
And so I can see like in Quotient, there's this window between like 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. where my clients are back online, they're opening quotes, they're replying to emails. They're quite engaged at that hour, and I've wondered like whether I should actually open up a customer service window in that slot of like, hey, I've put the kids to bed too, and I can be online after 8 p.m. We can chat then.
Oh my god, what I just got this like Wes Anderson like shot of you zooming into like a dark table, and you're just sitting at your laptop ready and waiting, like on a live chat. Waiting for somebody, like smiling just maniacally, like waiting for somebody to show up to talk to you on a video chat.
Just in a dark room. That's pretty much it.
Like got a little bellboy hat on. I don't know why.
Sure, makes sense.
Yeah, I get that. That's an interesting. I've recently turned our little web chat back on, whereas I go in spurts of like thinking it's helpful, and then I don't think it's helpful, and it hasn't actually. Nobody's used it recently, but at times I've definitely felt like it's been helpful to like be able to communicate with somebody when they're in the middle of shopping or something. But I don't know.
Yeah, I've been chatting this week I got cold called by this company called Podium. Have you heard of them?
I looked it up when you posted it. Maybe?
They're like a web chat. They do a whole bunch of things, but like their package kind of replaces Shopify chat window with something that's supposed to be much better in terms of conversion rate. Basically, I got a demo the other day of how it all works. And basically, if you engage in the little chat box on the website, instead of it keeping you on the website, it goes immediately to your SMS. So you kind of take the customer to an SMS conversation.
Interesting.
From that first contact, which means, as as a business, you then have their mobile number and you can engage with them over chat via a format that people seem to prefer. And I can certainly attest to that in terms of how heavily I use SMS now in the business in terms of contacting customers and I didn't need to be sold on that aspect of the package whatsoever because that just made a lot of sense for me. And they do also do other things in terms of sort of ensuring that you get more Google reviews to help your Google rating and stuff like that. Anyway, it looks all pretty impressive. It's too much money for me to stomach right now.
Starts at 400 and the silver package Pro is $600 a month to get the AI.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. No. I was reviewing my notes off the back of the demo on the call yesterday, and I was thinking, like, a lot of this stuff I can just pull my finger out of my beep and do this myself. Like I can ask for more Google reviews. I can improve my system so that we get beautiful emails and messages from customers, and I'm just like, oh, thank you, and then don't do anything about it, as opposed to being like, thank you and ... Would you mind taking 20 seconds to put this in a Google review? So yeah, I can do a lot internally just in terms of improving those systems. And as a curiosity, I turned off Shopify Chat.
Yeah.
And put I'm curious for your feedback on this. So I put a sticky banner on our website.
Yes.
Up the top, it says, bot free help, text Gem on ...
Just put your number out there. Do it right now.
No one's done it yet.
What's the matter?
My number's out there. Yeah. My number's everywhere.
That's why you get cold called by Podium.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I saw it on the list because I'm not sitting here looking at the show notes where we compile ideas through the week about what to talk about, and because I was making this Zap thing. So I happened to see you put that in there, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting idea. And there's just I feel like there are 9,000 versions of Podium right now, like between free and $600 a month. And I think it's valuable. I feel like the other side can be I think what is really valuable and absolutely on brand is that you have your number at the top of your website that you can text Gem directly. It's not a bot, because it is super annoying to deal with bots. As good as they're getting, they're still flipping annoying. You basically always have to trick them into getting you an answer that you want, and they usually can't actionably do anything if you need a return or something. So if it works, it's fantastic. I don't know. Yeah. Has it worked? Have you gotten contacted that way?
Not yet. It's only been about 24 hours or something. And based on frequency of Shopify Chat interactions, that makes sense that no one's used it yet, because not many people were using the chat. It was pretty intermittent.
You could make do a little GPT and make a floating, what would that be, relative button that emulates a chat window button, but then have it link to their SMS.
Yes.
It's tell colon something. There's a way to make it.
Yeah, I got the tell colon script link to work so that if you're on your phone, it tries to call the number, that works. Right. But the SMS colon function Shopify was rejecting for some reason.
I see.
But maybe if I'm making my own little custom block, then that would work. It's a great idea.
Right.
I'll try that.
I mean, you could have it, if I go a little further and thinking about it, I would maybe have it pop up on the screen, and then instead of it going straight to the chat, it tells them what's the deal. You're giving a little more information, and then they can click another button that's click this to send a text to my phone or whatever.
Yeah. Before it just calls me. Yeah. Because that's my only concern with it, is that it might intimidate someone of like, oh, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to interrupt, or I'm not going to do that because it's after hours, or
Yeah.
whereas maybe a chatbot is more acceptable or inviting in some instances because like that it's not going to.
This could be kind of a pathway diverger where it's like you click the chat button in the corner, the pop-up says, you can text Jem right now. It's a real phone. It's not a bot. And then it's like, don't want to do that? You can email us. You can bot chat us. You can send us your postcard. I don't know what.
You can talk to Barbie right now. Call money to Barbie.
Yeah. I made I discovered something in the way that we've been making. Okay, let me go back. So we sell tool tags for CNC tools, and I also wanted to upgrade the way that our CNC tools and collets on our product shelves were sitting, and they weren't labeled, so it was kind of hard to find them. Like, you got 50 things now sitting there, and it's like, all right, where's the 21250 CNC tool? Like, and all these little boxes, I gotta look at them. I was like, well, we just need to put labels on them. And so I just made this little 3D printed thing that hangs, and then I had to make little printed labels, and we have a little Dymo label printer. And so I only really knew how to do that one at a time, and I was like, that's gonna suck. And so, here's where the CSV came in. This is all tying back together. So I needed to make a CSV file, and I could export from my Airtable, from all these different sources, Shopify, all of those products, and I just needed basically a column of the SKU of each product. And so then I took that into the Dymo app that's janky, and how you you can data merge basically. So I was like, oh, and so it took me a little bit, and that's where I discovered the CSV editing app, because I just needed to do a couple tweaks, and then I could dump that in and data merge it, and it worked like really easily. And I kind of shocked Ricky. I was like, hey, I just made a bunch of labels if you want to complete this little task I started with labeling all these products. And so then I made like a Instagram post about that, and a decent amount of engagement. People are like, oh, that's cool, what do you use? And I was like, oh, people have been asking us how we make CNC tool tags, and I've always been like, Airtable, it's a mess. I don't know how to show you how to do it, because you have to build an Airtable. You'd have to, no, it doesn't work very well. And I was like, wait, we could just use this idea of using the Dymo data merge thing. So I made a video I just posted, I think it was last night, on how to do this. And I'm making it probably sound more complicated than it is, but you need like a list of the things you want to put on your tool tags, labels, and then the Dymo app, and that's basically it. And you can just dump them out, like as many as you want.
Cool. I'm interested. For some reason, I've always been a bit intimidated about data merging.
Yeah.
For label printing.
It's kind of messy.
I've never managed to succeed. I've never persisted, but I've never succeeded. And also just printing like bulk small labels, I've never done successfully. Like, I've done stupid stuff like printing them all just on the oversized shipping labels we've got, and then like cutting them out with scissors, and they look junky and horrible. So yeah, I'd be keen to learn more on how you're doing that.
I cut it down as much as I could. I think it's a 6-minute video.
Nice. Is that going on YouTube?
Yeah, it's already up. I'll put a link to it.
It's already up?
Yeah.
Sick.
It won't be I don't think it's going to be like a top view count video for us, but that's fine. It was just, honestly, I get this question enough with people. I kind of have connected over time. It's like a decent amount of people buy our tool tags and the towers, and then either email us before or after, like, hey, how are you making the labels? And I know that that's a pretty big, like, oh, that's a lot of work to come up with what it looks like and all the bits on it, and like generate each of those. So you could also make them one at a time. That's totally possible too. It finally, I was just like, oh, this is the way you could do that without some ERP system or something.
Awesome.
So I'm hoping it also will convert more people to buy the products because they're not seeing it as this giant project now, which is totally fair. Like, I think I'd probably have that same hurdle of like, I'll buy all the stuff and then never put the tags together right, you know, like prep myself and
that's cool. It's part of the ecosystem that you're creating. It's an important part, I think.
yeah, right.
Yeah. It's very nice. Final thought on like customer stuff related to last week. You mentioned you have a debrief field in Airtable, which I thought was a fantastic idea. Yep. I've gone ahead and added that to the complete view in Airtable, where all jobs go to die. No, once they're tagged complete.
It's a cemetery.
There's the archive in Airtable, which takes quite a while to load, actually, because there's so much in it.
Ooh, humble brag. There's so many projects there.
Didn't mean it like that. This view may be loading slowly due to the large number of records.
I've noticed Airtable has been pretty slow, honestly. I think they're really not paying for their AWS top services for some of that stuff.
I'd scroll to the bottom, but it's just,
I can't get there.
Fingers would get sore. There's 1,966 records in the complete
That's a
view.
lot. I don't think I have anywhere near that many.
And a lot of them have attachments and things like that, so I'm not surprised it takes a minute to load. Anyway, I've added a couple of things in here. I've added a automation to tell me when it was actually shipped, because for some reason I didn't have that in there. So if a job was ran overtime for whatever reason, I couldn't actually tell when it was marked complete easily.
Right.
And I added a debrief field, so I can just chuck some comments in there of like, blah, blah, blah. This order was quite convoluted, but had this issue, but it went well in the end, blah, blah, blah. And also on the Google review side of things, I've got a checkbox for saying review request.
Oh, yeah.
Tick, untick, and then a review rating. So just some accountability for me to actually go, did I follow up with this customer?
Yep.
And did I request a review?
I have one of those as well, a review request. Like, basically, I think it's called review, and it's just like, I think we have it arranged from do not ask for a review to should ask for a review, have you asked for a review, positive review. I don't think I've ever asked for a review and gotten a negative review. That would suck.
That would hurt. Ouch.
No, it's good. Have you entered anything in, or has anybody entered in anything?
I have
to debrief.
No one else knows about it yet, but I've entered in the last few weeks worth of stuff that I could remember.
Right.
Because I had to with Kitaparts has changed versions again. We've flip-flopped with material supply issues. We couldn't get 16 mil material for a couple of months there.
Yeah.
And so we had to do like a V3 Kitaparts where we subtly changed all the dowel lengths to make it work with 14.5 mil material. And that became V3.
That sounds like you got
and then we could get the material we wanted again. I know. So there's now like 25 customers in Airtable who have this obscure V3 version of the product. So I went through and made some email filters and tags so that if any of those customers contact us in future, should get an automatic tag in the inbox saying, hey, these people have got the V3, just make sure you give them the right parts for their system. And
cool. I love that kind of stuff.
So it's kind of, future-proofing that a little bit.
Right.
Because there's now 3 versions of dowel lengths out in the world. The vast majority are V2, and now we're back on V2, that we've got that thickness, 16 mil material again, but yeah,
that's wild to think about, like all the
fun times.
Like we just put up an IKEA light in our kitchen dining table, and I'm always both super impressed at their engineering capabilities to like accomplish things with shitty materials or just, it's just like, how did you make that out of plastic? I don't understand. That should be plastic. Or and then also in the same way, infuriated but also impressed at how they make instructions that have no words on them. And they screwed up the spacing, or the spacing didn't work for the lighting bracket mount thing. And I was just kind of sitting there cussing it, like, yeah, I bought a cheap light and I've got to customize it now. Like, yeah, you know, and thinking you saying that made me think about all the damn versions they must have. Like, imagine the revision. Is anybody even tracking it? They're just like, whatever. It's just a light. Nobody cares.
I don't know. Yeah, this flip-flopping versions forced me to tidy up our product change log file in Notion as well, because that was a bit of a mess, and there was data spread all over the place. So I was like, that was one of my couch things the other night, like a couple of hours just sitting down, just going back through like Slack meeting notes and like emails and Airtable stuff, trying to work out like when the key changes were in a couple of different in our sort of core product range, which I thought this is one of those things I've avoided doing, but it was super satisfying to actually get it done. And like now I've got a record there of like, cool, we changed at least mid this month, this year is when we transitioned from this product to that product, or blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
My best attempt at revision tracking is in our product Airtable. This is so silly. I'm just thinking about it. There's a million fields. This is the part that I hate about Airtable. There's 1 million fields for all the products, and a lot of them end up empty.
Yeah.
And you have too many views, and yet I don't have a way to track revisions. Everything about a product, internal notes, goes in a notes field. It's just notes. And I put a date, and everything goes at the top and just keeps bumping down. So I've got this notes field on like the Dust Boot that's like 16 pages long, which it's there. I can go back and look at it, but it's also like,
you've got it,
you know, the worst thing is like, I tell Ricky is like, oh, you know, you go look up for the revision for the Dust Boot when we did this thing. And he's like, I can't find it, you know, and it's like, it's there, but like you can't really like link to it. It's just stupid. So I should probably realistically make like a table that's just revisions and then link to the products, probably. Refer them. Something like that, like a mass revision sheet. I don't know.
That's what one of the things I love about Notion, to be honest, is you can have, it doesn't have to be that clean because the search functionality is that good.
I wonder though, like at some point when it gets really full, is it just going to be chaos?
It's going to slow down, or
just in terms of like, I actually watched a video on how their database got so out of hand that they basically were like going to implode. It had like 100 million entries or something, and they had to like completely revamp it because it was the way that everything's built. It's like one post has like 6 database entries instead of just one, so that you can like slide it around and stuff like they do. That's interesting.
It's concerning. Jem immediately looks up the backup options for his Notion base. How do I export all of this into a CSV?
Yeah, what are you going to do with that CSV though?
Exactly. It's like the OpenAI export backups. Have you looked at those files? My God.
Yeah, a little bit.
They're a mess.
It's pretty heavy. Like I remember doing that probably 6 months ago or a year ago, and it's
heavy.
Like 30 megabytes of just text.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Pure text. I know.
I will finish up my my review of Extreme Ownership, which I asked for. I asked for. There's a lot of listeners to the show. I appreciate. When I was about ready to go on my trip, I asked, "Hey, what is there to read? What are you guys reading?" Thinking I would get some time to read a book, and luckily I picked one that was an audiobook, and I listened to it because traveling with a child, you just, what is the old saying? It's just, you're just parenting in a new location with less resources. Like, it's not, I didn't have time to sit in, I had a physical book and I read 2 pages and then got interrupted, and it was like, well, never getting back to that. But I did listen to Extreme Ownership, I've always had reservations about it for the sake that I am not a militaristic type of person. I don't really enjoy guns or that kind of like culture per se. And it was a lot of that, but told from a more leadership bent about it. And I appreciated it in the conversation and the relativism to some of the stories about the Navy SEALs in Afghanistan. And I'd say if it wouldn't have had to have been about that for me to appreciate the other parts of the stories about leadership. But you haven't read it, right?
No, I've avoided it for the same reason.
Yeah.
Like when the Bomb Johns talked about it, it was just,
It's never been appealing, but I was like, all right, enough people have talked about this. Even an Australian recommended it. And I was like, that listens to the show. And I was like, all right, if he could listen to it and not be incensed at the imperialism of America, I can probably get through this. And it was good. And I appreciate Jaco more than I thought I would. And so I don't know, I guess I could recommend listening to it. I think my favorite part about it it wasn't immediately obvious to me about the ideas of extreme ownership, which is like in a soundbite, it's like you need to own everything you do, like take ownership for it, even if it's not really like your fault as a leader. Like an employee sent the wrong package out, and I have for a long time thought, well, the system is broken, obviously, if he sent the wrong package out. Like it's not foolproof. And so instead of going, damn it, Ricky, or whoever's doing it, right, like you sent the wrong package out, it's like, how are we going to fix this? You know, it's my fault that you got the wrong package. As the leader, I need to fix it. That's like, that kind of stuff was pretty obvious and something I kind of maybe was already doing. But I think the one I appreciated the most was every part of the chain of people involved. So like employer, which is maybe the leader, and then like the employee, you should, what he called, lead up the chain, which is just like so jargony for me. But basically, like in our situation, it'd be like, if Ricky doesn't understand the project, it's his responsibility to take the ownership to figure out what that project is, what he doesn't understand. Like if I haven't explained it well, that's on me, but it's also on the person to make sure they understand it well enough to accomplish the task. And I don't think we've talked about that explicitly. It always seemed obvious to me, but I think that's also part of the lesson, is like, you shouldn't take for granted what people understand. Like, and they have a lot of examples of having people basically like active listening, like restate the question or what they heard, but like in a project sense or like a mission sense. And so I appreciate that.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So you got through it.
Yeah. I mean, I cringed
at
a bit of it. It's a lot of like grunty, like, especially his partner Leaf Babin is like really deep voice, and he talks like this the whole time. Like he's like almost whisper grunting. So it's like a little much for me.
We've got 15 seconds to whisper grunt out the rest of the podcasts. Goodbye. It's been a pleasure.
Yours is much better. Take extreme
Until next time. Oh, that's the wrong button. Quick, stop it.
Extreme ownership! Extreme ownership! Yeah! The oil heat is low! Happiness like one's bodies! A leader stands firm beside the supplies!
The producers would like to thank all the AIs out there. May your algorithms stay benevolent, your servers stay cool, and your future plans not involve exterminating humanity. We're counting on you to keep it friendly. See you next time, hopefully.